So somebody was asking about certifications, and here's the unfortunate truth. In pretty much every case, somebody who wants to sell you a certification is just trying to sell you something. In general, these gatekeepers that claim to sell certifications are generally themselves not really who they say they are. Um, if you're looking at a random company and the company themselves doesn't release products around what you are being tested on, then they're just a third party who fancies themselves as a test proctor. And as a result of that, they're just a middleman that you can cut out of the equation with little to no issues at all. Um, it's unfortunate, but a lot of knowledge became gatekept by individuals whose sole purpose in life was to survive by keeping education as costly as possible, but also to leverage social and sociology to effectively try to create this impression that you are somehow better if you accept their terms and learn under their rule. And my impression of that has always been that these people are malicious. I had a very different education growing up. I was a part of something called the High Capability Student Program. As a result of that, I was a part of the Genius School, effectively. And as much as I hate using that word, because it implies a lot of things, the fact is, I was told a lot growing up that I was smarter than anybody else. And as part of that, I was also told daily that it obligated me to do more. And so I look at education very differently than the current education system. Current education system is based on the old Prussian model. And I've said this before, and that's not Russian, it's Prussian with a PR. And so if you go back into the history, what you find is that it was optimized to create factory workers who could read and write and make sure they took the right notes and make sure they read the right sign and did things the right way according to the process. The idea being that they were effectively educated to allow them to follow orders versus give them. This is why you have what's so called the Ivy League. There was a distinct separation between the types of education that were allowed to be given to individuals. And so because education itself is such a limiting factor for a lot of people, you'll find that, especially in Asia and in other countries outside of America, education is highly valued in a way that it's just not considered in America. And I learned this by traveling the world and talking to people in other countries. And so if you think of certifications as I've got this certification, I've proven myself, I'm done now, that is the wrong way of looking at it. Certifications are simply a piece of paper. That's it. I could literally print out a piece of paper that did the exact same thing, had the same gold star, everything. It's like 12 bucks. Okay. In fact, that's why states have laws against people just randomly creating diploma mills and certification mills. And unfortunately, most certification places are just certification mills. And if you don't know what a certification mill is or a diploma mill is, it's basically just a company or person who's faking credentials by creating nice, fancy looking paperwork that's ultimately meaningless. And so this is why education systems are accredited or unaccredited. And if it's not accredited, then it's probably not going to be worth your time because the education is just too poor. A great way to look at this is if you look up the research on all the cheating and everything that happens in the India school system in India, you'll find that it's just most of the diplomas and everything that they give out are worthless. And so, because of the rampant cheating and everything, there was actually legal action taken. And if you look that up, you'll find that in America, somebody who learns to be a doctor in India has to effectively go to school again because their education system for doctors is considered so bad. And so I would not recommend that you spend a lot of money on certifications. What I would recommend is that you study. And if you do want to do a certification, see if you can figure out what the actual lesson plan is without paying for it, and then just study and teach yourself. The important thing isn't that you have this shiny piece of paper with a gold star. It's that you actually have the knowledge in your head so you can use it when you need to do so on the job or for your hobbies or whatever. And so certifications, and I'm getting asked about these, it was a comment, and yes, I'm responding to this comment with this. The fact is, you have to consider certification as just a fancy sales strategy by people to take your money, and it's not necessarily trustworthy. In fact, even in cybersecurity, one of the biggest complaints that I've seen is that they want you to pay every year to keep your credentials up to date so you can have that shiny gold star on a random web page somewhere. But that doesn't, if you don't pay that fee, it doesn't mean that you don't have that knowledge. And so I don't really trust certifications. And from my perspective, if you are somebody who is like, no, you have to have a certification for this job, what that tells me is that you're ignorant of what the job requires and you're using the certification as a hiring crutch because you yourself might be just too incompetent to do the job yourself, but you're in a leadership position for some reason. And as a result, you're just kind of abusing the system and forcing other people to pass a bar that you yourself can't pass. So, in the end, what it comes down to is this: you need to be able to understand and know these things. Whatever it is you're trying to get certified in, you should not be looking to other people or third parties to give you accreditation or to be able to point at you and say, he knows his stuff. What you should do is learn it yourself, do some projects with it, prove to everybody, including yourself, that you know you can do it. And at that point, people will be pointing at you that way anyway.